So brand new severe thunderstorm warning issued from the National Weather Service. Finally, hopefully they were listening. We have that for Freeborn County. That's going to run until 7 o'clock. I'll give you the latest information and we'll head to break then. It does look like the severe thunderstorm was located near New Richland. That is exactly where Sean Macaday is at. And guys, if we do have Sean, I do want to get to him to see if we can get some information, because I got a text message from him that he has a visual here. Sean's frozen. He's in New Richland, which is tough to get any reception in. He does have some visual of possibly some rotation there. So at some point we'll either get you video or we will get him live. But the storm is near New Richland and 14 miles north of Albert Lea. It is moving at 25 miles an hour. And it does look like the main threats, two of them, winds could be over 70 miles an hour and also tennis ball size hail. So you're looking at winds that could be around 60, 70, but also 2.5-inch hail we're looking at. So I want to show you the track once again with this storm. Blooming Prairies at 6:36. So again, we're giving you a lot of lead time. And this is a kind of a day where even though there's not a tornado warning necessarily, severe thunderstorm warnings can be just as bad as tornadoes, because some of our weaker tornadoes will have winds between 70 and 80 miles an hour. These microbursts or these clusters of thunderstorms can have winds over 80 miles an hour and can pack a punch and certainly create damage, especially when you're also talking about the chance for some hail. So anyone in Freeborn County, I want you to make sure you're in a sturdy spot right now. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. Also Lansing at 6:50, Hayfield at 6:56. We're starting to get into parts of Dodge and Mower counties, 7:07 in Austin. And then again, eventually this is going to roll into the eastern parts of Dodge and western parts of Olmsted County, where this could range between 7 and 8 o'clock. So one more update. This is, again, a severe thunderstorm warning issued from the National Weather Service. It does look like, again, this is going to run until 7 o'clock. And the update is 14 miles north of Albert Lea. Let's go to a sign cam, guys, if we can, or not the sign cam, the live eye in Albert Lea. If you have that up, Nate, punch that up. And we have the view looking north. And it's a perfect view because, again, we're looking over the lake. Dark skies out there in Albert Lea. This is a severe thunderstorm warning right now, meaning, again, this is imminent. When we have a severe thunderstorm warning, the criteria is 58 miles an hour for those wind gusts, which these thunderstorms, with the type of environment that they're passing through, very volatile, there could be winds over 70 miles an hour. And we've had history near the Mankato area and just west that there could be golf ball and as big as softball size hail. So you want to make sure that you are not only inside in a sturdy shelter, but if you're ahead of the storm, specifically we're talking to you folks in Mower County, Dodge County, and Olmsted County, you want to make sure you have your vehicles probably inside as the storm does try to pass. Do we have Sean? Is he good? Let's check in with meteorologist Sean Macaday. He is near New Richland right now, and he is following the storm in our Storm Tracker 3. Sean?
All right, thank you, Chris. Right now we're on what is rotation. We can see it until we came across this car that's driving slow. It's right behind these trees, so stay with us for a moment, because if it's still there, it looked like this funnel was kind of dropping just in front of us, and it's not heading towards us, so we're in a good spot. Caleb, can we get out of these trees?
Working on it.
All right, yeah, we have what is a rotating cloud just to our east, right before the rain really starts. It should be passing in front of us. Keep driving straight. Keep driving straight. It's just on the other side of these trees. So what's going on with the storm? It's right now just south of Ellendale, and it's about to move towards I-35 between Owatonna and Albert Lea. And all right, we're peeking out. Let's see if it's still here. All right, what you can see just over here I'm going to take out the camera. What you can see right there just on the horizon, before it was rotating from the actual cloud base. Now things have rearranged, and you can see just directly ahead, that's called a roll cloud. So you can see there's a gust front, and that's pushing air way out in front of the storm because of all the rain ahead of it, and that's causing things to roll just above the surface. You can see that well right there. Oh, there's a microburst. There's a gustnado. I see a couple of gustnados right there. You see that? Caleb, you see that?
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
Caleb, take a left. Take a left. We need to take a left. I'm going to open the window so we can get a bit better of a view. I hope you guys are still getting this. So we're moving with the storm right now. You can see, here's the gust front, and that looked like there was a brief gustnado I was able to see. It's beginning to rain pretty hard right now. So I hope you guys can hear what I'm saying. but we're tracking that roll cloud moving in. Now, what I saw before, and maybe I'll put I put it on the Facebook page, was this roll cloud went up right, and then it was down from the clouds. Now it seems to have gone away, but this is an incredible sight with an incredible storm that we're seeing. Wow. This, I think, is the meanest thunderstorm that I think I've ever seen. And I've seen quite a bit of thunderstorms. I haven't seen the tornado, at least that I know of, but this is something. I'm not seeing that funnel cloud anymore, so that's good news for folks between Owatonna and Albert Lee on I-90, on I-35. But still, this is an incredible storm. It is capable of still producing a tornado and some large hail. I'm going to leave it there because I'm not sure if I'm still going on right now, and I'm not sure how long they want me to go for. Yeah, Chris, go on. What's up?
Hey, Sean, I have a question for you. Good job on the coverage. I want you to stay there and stay in the storm. Be safe, obviously. You are right now near New Richland, it sounds like, and we want to get you probably just south of that storm. We have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah.
Give us just kind of a glance or an overview. If we're, obviously all of us are not there, what does it feel like outside? What are the temperatures like? Because you're right in the middle of that boundary, and I'm guessing northwest of this, those dew points are going to be much lower, much cooler. The atmosphere ahead of that is primed for severe weather. So talk a little bit about what you feel out there and what things are looking like.
Yeah, so it does feel drier. Dew points are being taken up right where we are, and that's because if you look right over here, these are the lowering of the cloud base. That's where the air is actually rising into the storm. It's taking in all that moisture, and because of that, things are also very windy. But it does feel cool, and it feels very windy, and it feels a bit ominous. Just talking from an emotional standpoint, seeing clouds move very fast in these kind of manners is not something you see every day. We're gonna head towards the storm right now.
So yeah, Sean.
We're still tracking that gust front.
Sean, can you hear me?
Chris, did you say something?
Yep. We'll just keep. I'm going to keep my mic
you.
open. I'm going to keep my mic open so you and I can just have that conversation. And we were talking about this earlier when we were prepping for severe weather, that we wanted to make sure we get Sean in the right spot. We have him on the right storm, which is amazing. But the goal for us is to give viewers a visual of what they may anticipate, what they could expect from a storm like this. And so far, when obviously you've come to this storm, what have you seen so far if viewers are just tuning in right now? There's no tornado warning yet, but I am concerned at some point there may be if we're following this and we are seeing some rotation within the storm.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing, we're moving into the gust front now, so in about 5 seconds things are about to get pretty dicey. Hang on.
And Nate, if
we're on I-35 right now.
Nate, if you can put me on the chroma too, is that something that's possible while I'm talking to Sean? I want viewers to be able to see what I'm doing, just so I'm not this random ghost here.
I'm gonna open the window. I need to get it.
So while Sean is doing that,
I do have some clouds
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, Chris, go ahead. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I do have some clouds extending pretty low to the ground, right just next to me. I'm gonna open the window, so stay with me. But these are moving pretty fast just to the east of where I am. This doesn't look, it's not a tornado, not a funnel cloud, but it does have some rotation to it. And you can see right there, I don't know if you can see that, a little bit of rotating. I'm gonna close the window.
And Sean, I'm not surprised by that right
Chris,
now.
it is getting very windy in here.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on Sean right now. I'm gonna say a couple of things and then I'll toss it back to Sean. But what we're watching right now, if you're just joining us, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. Thankfully, again, no tornado warnings. But just to our north in Waseca County and also into parts of, at some point, Steele County, the northern sections of Freeborn County, there may be a tornado that we'll have to watch and see. But again, the tornado warning continues until 7 o'clock for Waseca County, which is just outside our viewing area. And my goal here, why we're staying on, is there is a chance here that this thunderstorm will eventually pass into a large population of our viewing areas. So that's why we have a track up right now. That's why we're following this storm. And this storm does have history. If you were watching between 4 and 6:30, Softball size hail, wind gusts that are approaching 70, 80 miles an hour. And then you can see, again, the track. And we'll get to Sean in just a second. I do want to specify, again, Austin, you're going to be on the, I think, right on the cusp here in the next half an hour. We're giving you plenty of lead time. So this is a day that you want to make sure that you are at least in a sturdy shelter. And if we do have a quick warning, we get you at least into your basement, into a safe spot. And heads up, in the Rochester area between, we're looking at Stewartville, Cascade, and Rochester, between 7:30 and 7:45. Looks like Sean. Looks like we lost Sean's signal. That will be probably an ongoing thing. We're not going to probably stay with this the whole time because I know this is just a severe thunderstorm warning right now, and it looks like, actually, I don't want to say just, we may have to stay with this. Looks like there's another severe thunderstorm warning that just popped up, and I will give you information on that. Since, again, now we're including several counties, we may stay with this. Let me give you an update on this. And guys, let's see if we can get Sean back up. National Weather Service at 6:30, so about a minute ago, putting out a severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Olmsted County and also for Mower County, southeastern parts of Minnesota, and southern Dodge. So this is impacting the majority right now of southern Minnesota, at least a chunk, at least half of the KIMT area. So at 6:30, a severe thunderstorm was located near Blooming Prairie. So that is on, again, the western and northwestern parts of Freeborn County. This is gunning, it looks like, at about 35 miles an hour to the east and is 14 miles south of Owatonna. This storm has history of producing tennis ball size hail and also has winds close to 70 miles an hour, if not higher. So this is a dangerous storm, and here is the storm right now. I'll put a track up once again. I think that's an important part of trying to monitor the storm. And again, we mentioned Blooming Prairie. It's right on your doorstep, so we have to make sure that you are inside at this point. Hayfield at 6:56, and between 7 and 8, it's going to move into Mower and also parts of Olmsted County. Let's get out to our storm tracker with meteorologist Sean Macaday. He is on the storm, and it sounds like there's some hail hitting. Sean, what do you got?
Chris, do you hear this hail?
I do.
We are getting pelted by hail right now.
What's the size of the hail right now, Sean?
You can hear it. Bang, bang. Yeah, we're right in the hail. It's too rainy to even really get a good glimpse out of the window, but the winds are. You can see the winds too. They're at least 40, 50 miles an hour. Oh my gosh.
So here's the hail. Sean, I have the hail.
We're gonna go under this.
Go ahead, Sean.
We're gonna go into this gas station and kind of get a glimpse of how big this hail is. And also, our car is getting pelted.
Yeah, our bosses will be thrilled about that.
Give me 1 second.
Well, while Sean is coming up here, Sean, I do want to focus in on, here is the hail core right now, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It is showing 2-inch hail from our radar, and sometimes that can suggest a little bit high. But again, this is the reason, one of the reasons why we have a severe thunderstorm warning right now. And the track of this, again, as it's moving due east, it's basically you're running along Highway 251. And at some point, Sean will tell us where he's at. But this is likely showing, I'm guessing, probably 2-inch hail, 1.9-inch hail. So that is golf ball size hail. We have to apologize, obviously, to our bosses because, again, that may be denting some of the car. Sean, tell us where you're at, what gas station you're at, and what you're seeing out there.
All right, so I have some hailstones for you right here. And these definitely aren't the biggest that we were feeling. But let me just take the camera out of its little holder right here. I got pretty wet. I might look pretty funny.
Usually
the hailstones are already starting to melt. But they're about, right now, 1/2 inch in diameter, and there was definitely some bigger ones.
Hey,
so
Sean, tell us where you're at right now.
And we're taking, right now we're on I-35 south of Owatonna.
Sounds like Sean said he was on I-35 south of Owatonna, so let's try to get a glimpse. He is probably, my guess is, he's probably right into that hail core as I zoom in. So he could be anywhere from, again, this whole section. And if you're just joining us again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. And guys, if we can super that up so if viewers do pass by, they know what's going on and why we're up. But this storm, again, is racing from west to east, and the big issue that I see right now is going to be the fact that the storm is sustaining itself for so long. This is the same storm that produced potentially a tornado, or at least keeping the storm sustained, that it's produced several different tornado warnings for several different counties. But it is also going into an environment that is still very unstable, which means this will likely be able to sustain itself maybe for a while. And this is 6:30 right now. We still have a couple of hours of daylight here and plenty of energy. Remember, temperatures east of here are still rocking and rolling in the 90s. I'm looking at all of our different live eyes. In Mason City, it's 95 degrees, and it's 85 right now in Rochester. George, what's the temperature that you see to your left? To your other left, right over there. Can you see some of those?
91 degrees in Austin. I've got 93 in Charles City. I've got 95 in Mason City and 85 here in Rochester.
So we still have a 91, and we have 80s and 90s. And the reason it's probably a little bit cooler in Rochester is we had that thunderstorm that developed at about 4:30 near Whitewater, and just north of the viewing area that we ended up probably getting a little bit of outflow from it, and that may have cooled us down. But this is the same storm that is producing several severe thunderstorm warnings. It looks like we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning, and there could be several here. So let me regroup. Let's try to get Sean back up, guys, if we can. We have him. I'm going to go through the severe thunderstorm warnings. Let's first take a live look at Albert Lea, if we can, and also Austin. These are two spots and hot spots right now, and perfect. Keep that up while I'm reading some of the stuff. The latest information. We'll start with Albert Lea. Again, this is new information that I'm getting. Severe thunderstorm located, as I mentioned, just east now of Richland, traveling at least the nastiest part of the cell is just north right now, it looks like, of Albert Lea, and that's where Sean Macaday is situated. And again, this storm is racing. It looks like, I shouldn't necessarily say racing, it's moving at 25 miles an hour. The other severe thunderstorm warning, that one is going to run until 8 o'clock tonight. The main threats there, it has history of producing large hail, tennis and baseball size hail from the Weather Service, and also winds that could exceed 70 and even 80 miles an hour. And this is per a trained weather spotter from the National Weather Service indicating all of this stuff. So I know this isn't a tornado warning, but sometimes you have to treat this like a tornado warning because of the winds and the type of environment that we are looking at for today. Make sure you're in a sturdy shelter, and if you want to play it safe, even get in your basement to get away from some of these winds, because some of the winds are going to be gusting very, very strong. New severe thunderstorm warning issued. It looks like this is for parts of Winnebago and also for Worth County. This is going to run until 7:15. National Weather Service talking about some of the extended outflow from the severe thunderstorm north could be protruding south and could be rolling into certain locations such as Forest City, Northwood, Lake Mills, Manly, Emmons, and also Rice Lake. We also have Buffalo Center, Thompson, Plymouth, Fertile, Leland, and Kensett. So a number of spots in North Iowa that will likely be impacted from this. So let me throw on, as I always like to do, the most important part. And let's look at Austin as well. And guys, if we get a chance, okay, and we'll get to Sean. I do want to put a track on here, and then we'll talk to Sean, and then we'll get some different live eyes up. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. That's Austin. So things are looking quiet right now, and I believe that's actually looking northeast from Twin Towers. So we may have to move that a bit. While I'm talking, I'm trying to get this track up and talking about locations that may be impacted. So this is a new track. This is suggesting Blooming Prairie, which the strongest part of the storm, we're actually entering the cell. This could be moving into Austin very soon, maybe even in the next 10 minutes. So make sure you're in your safe spot at this point. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, but with the winds that could be between 70 and 80 miles an hour and the history of hail, you want to make sure you're at least in your living room, away from windows, because all it takes is a big-time hail storm or stone to come flying in with some of those strong winds. Dodge Center, you could be next in line after the 7 o'clock hour, 7:18. Casson's at 7:29. And eventually, this is going to move into parts of Olmsted County. We have 7:44, Rochester 7:56. And remember, again, some of this outflow is already impacting locations such as Northwood, Buffalo Center. It may even go as far south as Mason City as these track east and southeast. Let's get out to our storm tracker. If we still have meteorologist Sean Macaday up, doing a fantastic job and giving us updates on this cell. And Sean, what do you have?
Thanks, Chris. So I just got pelted with some hail earlier when we were in the thick of that cell that you have been tracking that's currently just north of Albert Lea. And it's now passing through Blooming Prairie, I heard you say. We just got pelted with about inch diameter hail. And we haven't looked at the top of the car, but it was going dang, 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 constantly. Now it's kind of just over to our east, so we're kind of behind that cell, but we're just about to move into Albert Lea. We're on I-35 right now. We're about to get on I-90 and head east back again and continue chasing this cell. But I gotta say, guys, that was one of the meanest thunderstorms, if not the meanest, I think I've ever been in. What's the word, Caleb? Something exceptional. That was an exceptional storm that is moving through Blooming Prairie and parts of Malheur County right now and throughout the rest of the area. So you do want to get your safe spot. I know we say severe thunderstorm warning quite a lot. You get severe weather, the storm, oh, there's a storm, but this storm means business, guys. I mean, there was a lot of hail. We had to take refuge under a gas station to keep things, to keep us from getting too belted up. And we weren't the only one there. There was a couple people at this gas station all huddled. It was in Clark's Grove where we were on I-35.
And
we
Sean,
were all huddled underneath the kind of the awning. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
So right now it looks like were you just on I-35 and now are you heading onto I-35 and heading east? I'm sorry, I was doing some other thing. I just want to make sure we tell our viewers where you're at so I can give them a visual exactly on our Storm Tracker 3 where you're at, and then we'll follow you. And you're kind of our eyes and our ears, and you're keeping everybody safe being out there right now. So tell us kind of where you're at.
Yeah, so what you just saw right there was the clover between I-35 and I-90. So now we're getting onto I-90 in Albert Lea, and we're heading east, right? So we're going to be heading towards Austin. The storm is right now to our northeast, and it's going to be heading to its really southeast. So Austin is in the crosshairs, Blooming Prairie, places like that. And we're going to be heading to the south of that storm, at least the heavy part of that cell. And we're going to try and follow it in. Right now we're behind that cell again on I-90 in Albert Lea, heading east. And we're out of the worst of it, but the worst of it was, again, no joke. There was some serious hail, and the winds were at least 50 miles per hour, and the wind just did not stop.
So Sean, what I'm seeing right now, if you're along I-35, I'm putting on the hail product right now just to make sure that you're staying kind of away from that. And the hail product, if you're looking north from your view, from where Caleb is in the driver's seat, that's where the hail, at least the worst part of this hail, is right now. So you guys had, it looks like probably quarter-size hail, like the quarter. And right now it does look like, at least in the green, and maybe if I even go even further, there's probably going to be between 1.5 and maybe 2-inch hail. So we're talking hail that could be the size of anywhere from a quarter to golf ball size hail. So what we see a lot with these thunderstorms, and it looks like we may have lost Sean, we'll get him back in just a second. We see what's called cycling. These thunderstorms may go into an environment that's not as perfect to sustain the thunderstorm, but then it'll pop into somewhere else and it'll continue to cycle. So we'll see it weaken, we'll see it strengthen, we'll see it weaken. We've seen that quite a bit, and I'll show you that on our tracker. And George, I don't know if you have an opportunity to do this, but if you have your phone nearby, maybe you can pop on a Facebook Live and we can get some questions from viewers, and they can give us an opportunity to answer anything that we may be forgetting. But here's the cycle of the storm. And you can see it's kind of been pointing, and it's been following this little boundary. And boundaries in May and June and even July are the feeder that we look for severe weather. And you can see Sean and Caleb, they were in New Richland. You could see those brighter colors, the yellow and the orange. That's between 2.5 and 3.5 inch hail. And if we go even further, you can see this kind of going southeast. I mean, there's some nasty stuff right there. You can actually see the impending hook that might have been maybe a funnel, some type of deep rotation. And then now as it's pushing into Freeborn County, it has weakened just a little bit. So Sean is following that storm. He is on the storm right now. Let's take a live look outside right now in Albert Lea, if we can get that, either a double box or take that full. It's completely up to you. But at this point, if you are just joining us, we have several severe thunderstorm warnings, and we're trying to, at this point, trying to keep up with it because we knew this was the kind of day that this had the potential to be. Thankfully, again, no tornado warnings for our area. There are no longer any, it looks like, tornado warnings even for this cell that was riding right along from Blue Earth County, Waseca County, Steele County, and just north of Freeborn County. That is no longer in effect. That's a good thing, obviously. We're trying to get these things to slow down a bit. That's not going to be the case, though. I would be very surprised if suddenly we lose all the steam in the atmosphere. Remember, temperatures are still in the 90s. In most locations, I was looking at some of our live eyes. You folks in Mason City watching this, you're probably like, hey, I'm sitting out in the sun. It's beautiful. You probably see out in the distance in the north, though. Lots of clouds. It's 95 there, and it's 85 right now in Rochester. So a recap, several different severe thunderstorm warnings. So the first one that we'll pop on is the one that's been on the longest. And we'll get to George, guys, in just a second. Severe thunderstorm warning continues at 6:46. It's going to run until 7 o'clock. No new updates on that one. So the newest one is going to run until 6:30. This includes southern parts of Freeborn, southeastern Faribault counties. It's going to run until 7:30 at 6:31. Twin Lakes, it looks like that storm was near, and it's going to impact, obviously, going through Albert Lea, which we're doing right now. I'm going to go to a couple more warnings. I want to go to, we do have an update on power outages. This one is running until 8 o'clock. This includes southern parts of Dodge, southwestern Olmsted, and a chunk right now of, it looks like, Mower County. This does include locations like Blooming Prairie, Hayfield, and eventually, again, could be racing into Rochester in the next 45 minutes or so as the storm, this part of the storm, is pushing at about 35 miles an hour. And last but not least, we're not forgetting about you folks in North Iowa. I'm going to take that off so you can see this a little bit better. This one is until 7:15. So if you counted that, that is, I mean, several different types of severe thunderstorm warnings around our area. That is why we're staying on for coverage. It's going to run until 7:15. Looks like a number of places in North Iowa could be getting the outflow from this. So what happens with these thunderstorms, it's so hot, and the development and the cold front is pushing cold air down, and it's being forced on the ground and traveling, and it can go a long way when it's this hot, and it's this early in the season, I guess, if you want to say for early June for this type of severe weather. You can still get some cold air from Canada coming in, and that's pushing the air down. So you're going to get some of the outflow in parts of, again, Worth County and also in Winnebago County. It's going to run until 7:15. George, do you have some information for us?
Yeah, I do, Chris. In fact, we're going to take a look at some of the parts of our area that are experiencing power outages. Take a look at this map. This is from Freeborn Mower Cooperative Services, the utility company reporting nearly 1,000 customers without power. And we want to see what's happening in your neighborhood as well. If and only if you can do so safely, please send us your weather pictures, send us your videos. You can send them directly to our Facebook page. You can send them to Chris's Facebook page or to our email. That is news@kimt.com. And Chris, as you're here, I just want to shoot a question at you real quickly, and I'm getting some questions from our Facebook users as well. But you and I this afternoon were talking about energy and how these storms dissipate that energy. But my layman's observation is, as this thing moves from west to east, I've been, again, as a layman, somewhat surprised at how much power this is maintaining, because it's raining sideways out there, but it still seems to be staying powerful as it heads east.
So think of this as Pac-Man. Pac-Man is always trying to eat up different types of food, and it's trying to sustain itself. So Pac-Man is trying to go from 70s right now, but look what's ahead. Plenty of food, plenty of energy, plenty of ingredients with temperatures, look at this, in the 90s and 80s. So even though those thunderstorms are passing and they're stabilizing the atmosphere, they're going to roll east slowly and going into destabilized areas, and the environment is still conducive for severe weather because of temperatures in the 90s. I mean, look at Mason City still, 95 degrees, and it's almost 7 o'clock. Now, also the winds are important. Look at the difference. This is pretty amazing. You don't have to be a meteorologist to figure this out. You know there's a front, And that front is traveling right in the heart of our viewing area. We have cooler Canadian drier air trying to punch in, and then we have unseasonably hot air and summer air coming in, and that's why there are thunderstorms developing along that line, doing what Mother Nature always does. And that's why some of these dew points are up. That's why there's still plenty of energy to sustain itself as these storms move east. We do have some video coming in. I believe this is from Isabella Basco. She was at the protest in Albert Lea. And you can see some of the wind right now blowing around in Albert Lea. We have not had any reports yet of any type of damage yet, thankfully, or any types of, at least storm reports of damage or major hail in our viewing area, but we'll at least peek on that. Guys, let me know the status of Sean, and we want to get back to Sean. Let's go out to Sean, and Sean, if you can hear me, tell us where you're at, what you're seeing, and where you're following right now. It looks like you're going through some pretty nasty thunderstorms.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Right now we're on I-90 east of Albert Lea, headed towards Austin. We're taking it slow. Check out this sign right here flapping in the wind. So that seems to be the biggest impact of the location where we are right now. Again, that's between I-90, that's between Albert Lea and Austin on I-90. We are having some serious wind, and I'm going to take the camera, I know it's tilted a little bit, and show you what I'm seeing out the window. It's not even as bad as it was earlier, but check out the rain right here. I mean, you can literally see it raining, and then you can also see the wind blowing all of that in giant gusts. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. There is definitely some serious wind though on I-90, again in between Albert Lea and Austin. We have some really low clouds, there's some clouds right there that are very low to the ground.
I'm guessing, Sean, that's probably not only maybe some microbursts, but macrobursts that could be pushing a lot of the cold air from the loft that we're seeing that I was talking about, maybe rushing toward the surface. So I'd be interested to see what kind of wind gusts we see around the area, and what will show proof of that will be any damage that we may potentially get. So if you have weather pictures, weather videos, send those to either our website, our email rather, our email, my Facebook page, the KINT Facebook page. Please let us know so we can let viewers know as well. Shawnee, again, we're going to go back to you since you're underneath the storm, and I want to figure out from our Storm Tracker 3 radar where exactly you are. Again, you're in between, it looks like, Albert Lea and Austin, right?
Yeah, so I'm just east of Hayward, actually. And let me give you a more precise indication of exactly where I am.
Well, I have something up right now, Sean, it looks like in Hayward, and if you're passing through this cell, if you're just east, you're going to be looking at a nasty thunderstorm, part of that storm that may be producing some hail. So be on the lookout for that, but not only that, but there may be some really good downpours on here, maybe torrential downpours, which you're seeing right now, and finally, there may be some strong winds in there, which you were just talking about.
Yeah, no, I do think I'm looking at the radar now, and it does look like the heart of exactly what you said. The heart of that storm is just to the east of us, so we're driving towards it. We'll see if we can make it towards it and make it actually there, because this storm is moving to the southeast. But I think we're going to be able to make it. It's just right now we're going 50 miles an hour, so taking it a little slow, considering this is a interstate highway.
Well,
I do think things have gotten a bit better from where we were earlier. Oh wait, we just got a pretty big gust.
Those from the semi.
Oh, those from the semi. Still though, everyone's taking it slow.
Which they should be. And guys, just northeast of you, and I'm going to put a mile marker on this, just to kind of give you, I'm going to assume you're just east there of Hayward. You're probably 4 miles away from at least quarter-size hail, maybe even beyond that. We'll see if this storm ends up recycling, Sean, which, again, you were in New Richland when you got pelted, actually when you got pelted by the hail, you were probably in Clarks Grove in Freeborn County. Talk a little bit about that, since viewers did not, maybe if they're just joining us, maybe they didn't see that, what kind of hail you saw in Freeborn County.
Yeah, so me and Caleb were in Clarks Grove earlier. That's on I-35 in Freeborn County. And we were ahead of the storm, and then we got swallowed by the storm. The storm creeped up on us, and pretty much instantly the hail came down. And it wasn't, oh, it's raining. It's all of a sudden, what is that noise? And the noise was just pelt, 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 pelt. It was bang, 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 bang. It did not end. I think I just lost the camera, so I'm going to switch. For some reason, the camera just cut out. So I'm gonna switch the cameras real quick. But again, what happened in Clark's Grove was we had to take refuge under a gas station awning because there was just so much hail. I stepped outside actually in the gas station while we were in the gas station area where you fill up. And there was about a corner of hail, and I don't have any of the hailstones, they've all melted. But there were hailstones about 1 inch in diameter, just spread all across that gas station in Clark's Grove. It was serious business. I'm going to take this camera now and kind of point it back to you.
And Sean,
the other camera cut out.
Sean, I'm going to cut you off for just a second because we have new severe thunderstorm warnings I want to be able to talk about. The new one looks like it was just issued from the National Weather Service. This was coming in from La Crosse. This was issued for parts of Mower County and also Mitchell County. So this is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. It's going to run until 8:15 for the evening hours. So this is now one upon several going through most of the KIMT area. And we knew the I-90 corridor was going to be the hot spot where that stationary front was going to sit and eventually lead to big-time thunderstorms. So now that these are starting to kind of gel up together, I'm not going to say that there's not going to be a chance for tornadoes, but there's probably a little lower threat of tornadoes, and we kind of knew that going into today. But these are, if you're just joining us, these are all the different types of severe thunderstorm warnings. We have them. I mean, there's counties that are completely filled with the different types of severe thunderstorm warnings. So let's start out. The first one, this is for Freeborn County, and I'm going to go for the latest part of the warning. This is going to run until 7:30, and this is Doppler radar indicated strong velocities that could be, again, ranging between 60 and 70 miles an hour currently. That's for parts of Freeborn County. Let's look at the next one that includes portions of Olmsted County, Mower County, and Dodge County. This is going to run until 8 o'clock, and I'll drag this over so you can see. It's this spot here that we're focusing in on here. Again, not all of Olmsted, not all of Dodge, but all of Mower County is going to run until 8 o'clock, it looks like. And then parts of North Iowa, we have that cornered off too. This is going to include parts of Winnebago and Worth counties as we take a live look outside. I believe that is in Austin. This is going to run until 7:15 for parts of Winnebago and also for parts of Worth County. And then the last one that I mentioned, which is going to run a little bit later, and I would be on the lookout if you're in parts of Howard County, Fillmore County, and the rest of Olmsted, Dodge, and even in the southern sections of our viewing area, including Cerro Gordo, also Floyd, and even heads up right now in Hancock County, there could be more severe thunderstorm warnings. George?
Getting that question.
That's an excellent question. So let me put a track on that, and then we're going to get back to Sean, because again, tracks are, it's why you watch us. You want to make sure when this storm is going to be moving in. So you can see the worst part of the storm. That's where Sean is going right now. I'm going to put a track on that one just to kind of give you an idea of what is. So we're going to move this east. Storm's moving at about 30 miles an hour. So here's the latest. It's about 7 o'clock. Just to kind of put a bow on this to make sure you guys know what's going on. If you're just joining us, we are doing live team coverage. We have Sean Macaday in the field chasing the strongest or most severe part of the storm. He is near Austin and Albert Lee. But here's the current track right now. Northwood, 703. This is probably right on your doorstep if you're not already getting some of those winds. Dodge Center, you're going to see already some of the outflow, 719. Casson at 7:30, and George asked about Rochester. It does say 7:57. Wouldn't be surprised if this actually moves in quicker. These thunderstorms tend to accelerate based on what's ahead of the storm. Great ingredients for severe weather. 90s, dew points in the 70s for some of us. There's a lot of turbulent wind. We have a stationary front placed. The only thing that we're lacking is true depth for wind shear, which is rotational stuff. Otherwise, this would have been a widespread event where we could have seen not only damaging winds and large hail, but potentially several tornadoes. So at least we have that going for us. So if you're in Rochester right now, be on the lookout. Continue to watch what we're doing right now. But I really think between 7:45 and 8, you're going to start to see the cluster of thunderstorms moving in. You'll likely see the wind flow or the outflow much earlier than 7:57. That's the strongest part of the storm that'll be right over. Let's look at Rochester right now. Again, this is looking east. So again, you're looking east at some of those thunderstorms that are east of the Mississippi River. Some of those have been warned. And this is a day, and I had a really good photo on Twitter from Leland, Iowa, that you could see the thunderstorm all the way in Mankato, which she was suggesting maybe about 100 miles away. And you could see the perfect anvil. It's on my Facebook page, by the way. I mean, just an absolutely gorgeous shot. So these are thunderstorms you don't want to mess with. That could be 40, 50, maybe even 60,000 feet up in the sky. And that's why we have very large hail. We've had reports of that, damaging winds, and even the chance for some isolated tornadoes. Let's get back to Sean Macaday. He is traveling. Oh, we do have video of Sean. We don't quite have Sean right now. He is traveling on I-90 east right now, heading toward Austin. And this is probably why. So these are strong winds east of Albert Lea. This was sent in from Sean. This may be a reason why we don't have Sean. Our technology, it can be imperfect, as many of you know. Even in big thunderstorms, our cell phones don't work. Our reception can go out on TVs. That's kind of the same scenario that we can see. But look at the wind outside. I mean, I'm sure we're going to have at least, this is in Hayward, by the way, there's likely going to be some damage somewhere across our area. And that does spark another thing, if you want to come back to me. Any idea, again, if you have any videos, if you have any pictures, please send them our way so we can let you know and let all the other viewers know, hey, we saw this in Hayward, we saw this in Austin, we saw this in Albert Lea, we saw this in Mason City. If you are east of this storm has history of producing these kind of winds, has history of producing tennis ball and even baseball size hail. So that is something we want to make sure we can get through to you at this time. We do have Sean right now. Again, he was just east of Hayward earlier. He is heading right into this cell right now, and he's probably getting close to Austin. Sean, let us know where you're at and give us an update.
Thanks, Chris. I'm still on I-90 towards Austin. I'm getting close to Austin. Can you hear the pelting, though? Can you hear that?
I can.
We're getting hit by quite a bit of hail right now. Yeah, okay, good, because it is, I can't even hear my own thoughts, like, as much less my IFB held up to my ear. We're going about 20 miles per hour on 90. We have a car pulled over right to my left right here. It's just blinking its lights. We're still getting hit by this hail. I don't have a good visual on how large this hail is. Maybe, I'm looking out the window, but we're still moving. I would say maybe quarter of an inch hail.
Okay, so it's smaller. It's smaller hail, Sean.
Wow. Yeah.
So here's Sean. That storm.
Yeah, I think it's about a quarter of an inch.
That storm is pushing southeast, folks, and this is the storm he's on right now. This is right along Highway 35 that Sean is traveling on. And guys, be safe. Anywhere you're going to be in what we call the bear cage, which is going to be strong winds and also some hail within these cells. We always tell chasers never to go in there, and Sean's a trained professional, so he obviously knows this and he knows where to go in some of these. But this does have some hail suggestions of over 1.5 inches and near golf ball size hail. So again, he is traveling, it looks like, just west of Austin right now. And you can see right now, currently, just the view right now. Again, this is looking east. Sean was just in Clarks Grove where he got pelted by probably greater than quarter-size hail. And he went down from the I-35, I-90 corridor and now he's heading east toward Austin. And this is the cell that Sean is on right now. And Sean, continue of what you're seeing. It looks like there's some lightning. You have some heavy rainfall, and you mentioned some hail as well.
Yeah, so we're getting that around quarter diameter hail that you were talking about. We're still getting hit by that. Oh my gosh, it is quite heavy. But we're also seeing very heavy rainfall and the occasional really strong gusts. These gusts are probably around 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour. They're occasionally very strong. Again, I said this earlier, but this might just be the strongest storm I've ever been inside. And we've been tracking this all the way from around where we were earlier on I-35, which is New Richland. We've been tracking this for New Richland, yeah, exactly. We've been tracking this and on this for quite some time. And this is not letting up. This is a self-propagating storm. There's just so much energy in the atmosphere for things to get going. Right now, things are letting up slightly, but even slightly is still terrible. Visibility is about maybe a football field. Was Caleb? You'd agree with me?
Yeah.
A football field's away. You just saw that truck emerge out of the muck. I would call this muck. We're getting the occasional lightning flashes. When you have so much upward motion in a storm, and that's exactly what we have here, that triggers just so much lightning. And also when you have hail rubbing on water, rain, water droplets, water particles suspended in the clouds. You get different forms of water rubbing up against each other, creates a lot of static electricity. You can see that in all the constant flashes we're seeing right now.
Hey, Sean, you brought up some lightning strikes too, and I wanted to kind of, where you're at right now, we have lightning strikes, and this is a small amount, or at least a small area that I decided to just focus on, but the number of lightning strikes between the last 5 and 10 minutes, you can see really adding up to about 200 to even, again, we may be approaching at times, depending upon the strength of the storm and how it evolves, could be between 200 and 300 lightning strikes for every 5 to 10 minutes. So this, Sean talked about the upward energy that we have, and the rule of thumb is when you have some of these thunderstorms that go up 40, 50, 60,000 feet, if something goes that high up in the atmosphere, which is already tough to do, you need some crazy energy to get that type of upward velocity or upward movement. That has to come down. And a lot of times, the only way it's going to come down is in two ways: really strong winds or really large hail. And so far, we have seen both of these. And thankfully, the tops of these storms don't look to the point where they did when they were back in Mankato. I mean, those were, you're looking at those thunderstorms developing between 3 and 5, peak heating. Just not a good situation for that. But thankfully now it's 7:07. We're starting to see maybe a little bit of cool down here as that sun begins to get lower and lower and gets closer to sunset. What sunset is now about 8:30. But I want to go to Austin right now, and things are really rocking and rolling again. Several different severe thunderstorm warnings that we are tracking right now. From the wall, again, if you're just popping up, it's 7:07. We've been live coverage here probably, what do you think, George, the last hour or so?
A little over an hour because we ended we were about halfway through the 6 o'clock show. So
yeah, so we're getting close, probably about 45 minutes. And we're also, if you're interested, if you want a behind-the-scene view, George is trying to answer some questions as well on our Facebook Live. We're trying to get as many answers for you, what's going on in the atmosphere, and we're trying to get you some good coverage here. But again, we do have Sean Macaday, who's traveling and watching the worst part of the storm along I-90 right now. He is approaching Austin, and I just wanted to take a live look outside. We'll talk to Sean in just a bit. We may talk to George in a little bit too. Just kind of want to regroup, as I always like to do, and talk about the warnings that are out there. We have several different types of or different areas for these warnings. So let's start out. And these are all the different warnings that are out there. I'm going to take off the lightning and all these other satellites sweeping. Here are the warnings right now. And it does look like, Albert Lee, you're out of the warning right now. The worst of this storm is moving out. But all these yellow boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings that will run until 8:15, 8:30. There are different times for these. Obviously, the farther east you go, the later it'll be. The farther west you go, the earlier these will be allowed to expire. But this includes a chunk of our viewing area. It's going from Winnebago. It does go through a sliver right now of Freeborn County. It goes through Worth County, goes through most of Mitchell County, which will likely be all of Mitchell County soon, all of Mower County, southern Dodge, and right now southwestern parts. That is of Olmsted County, and not quite, this is not involving Rochester quite yet. Let's do a track of this, and then I do want to get back to Sean, because Sean is right in the middle of the storms right now. So let me get the track up right now. We'll put a new track up for everyone so you can see kind of what's going on. I'll do a zoom out here. So this is the nastiest part of the storm. It's right here, and we're going to do a quick track of that. I'm going to go up just a bit. We'll press this east. Here's the current track. Again, we are pushing this out just a little bit to try to give you a little bit of lead time. But 721, Dodge Center, you may already be experiencing some of these stronger winds. Casson, heads up, 731. It's almost a year since you had the incident, June 5th of last year, that had baseball-size hail and homes that were damaged, a few cars that were damaged. And then eventually this is going to roll into parts of Olmsted County. Stewartville at 7:47 and 7:59. I do want to caution, folks, these thunderstorms do pick up in intensity. So my feeling is on some of these may be moving in a little bit sooner than that. We're saying 7:59 in Rochester. So I may speed these up. I have this down in our system as 35 miles an hour. I'm probably going to push this back to 45 miles an hour. Just my gut of experience and looking at storms like this, I would not be surprised if these end up speeding up and trying to race. So let's do this one more time. So this is probably making a little bit more sense to me. Dodge Center, you're already probably experiencing some of the wind. Casson at 7:25, that means Byron probably at 7:30. Stewartville 7:34. Rochester's at 7:42. Yeah, if you're in Rochester, especially the western side, you may start to get some winds between 7:35 and 7:45. Marion at 7:46. Iota, you're going to be close to probably 8 o'clock, and then that starts to move outside our viewing area. Now remember, too, you're going to get some outflow in parts of North Iowa, and I'll put in the track of that as well. I don't want to forget you folks in North Iowa. So if you start to get the outflow, this is probably what it's going to look like for folks in North Iowa. So St. Ansgar, you're probably already seeing that. Lodi at 7:26, Osage rather at 7:29. Riceville, you'll be close to 7:40. Lime Springs, close to 8 o'clock. Alma, Vernon Springs, Canton. So many spots, again, will be impacted by this, I think, before 8 o'clock. And just make sure you are weather aware. Make sure you are in a sturdy shelter, because two things will be the main focus with these storms: damaging winds, and also these storms have history, especially in the Mower County area and Dodge County, where this storm is passing, where we have Sean Macaday. These have history of producing tennis ball and even baseball size hail. So let's get out to Sean Macaday. He's on our Storm Tracker 3 with Sports Director Caleb Gillog, too. He's our driver and doing a fantastic job. And guys, how you doing out there? What are you seeing? And please be safe.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, we're staying safe. Caleb is doing a great job driving. I've already complimented him on that, but I want to talk about what I'm seeing right now. Right now I'm in Austin on I-90. We're passing through Austin. And if you just saw that,
yes,
Austin gets this a lot, but I do believe we're starting to get some flooding right now. We're getting the occasional puddles on the highway. And this is, I mean, these rain rates are immense. They are immense, and I would not be surprised.
Jenna.
Flooding.
Yeah.
In parts of in near Austin. So right now we're going to stay with this cell and see how it works. No hail right now. There was some hail earlier, but still the rain rates are immense. The wind has died down slightly, but it does seem like the biggest concern right now is rain. I'm looking over at Austin right now in the lake. It does seem a little bit high. I can't get a good view. Visibility is poor. Aside from that, though, we're going to continue to take it slow. There is a fine line of water. Pretty much nobody's out driving right now. I'm looking at the radar right now, and radar app. It says that above us, these clouds extend a full 50,000 feet in the air. So these are some very tall thunderstorms. You were saying it earlier, but again, if you want hail, you need something tall. You need to be able to push a lot of moisture and keep it suspended in the air for a long amount of time. And then it all just comes crashing down. Hail, and we've seen both. We've seen both today. Right now, I'm not seeing it in as much and as strong as we saw it earlier, especially in places closer to Albert Lee and even towards north of Albert Lee, near New Richland. But still, this is an incredible storm. A lot of lightning with this, too. Right now, we're going to continue to head east on I-90 as long as we can, and we're going to continue to follow this cell. I do think we've actually outrun the cell a little bit.
I think you're right, Sean.
Sean,
if you're east of Austin right now, Austin is likely being hit by at least some hail, and the hail structure right now looks like it could be as large as quarter. Probably thinking between penny and quarter size hail. So if you folks are watching from Austin and can give us a confirmation, it looks like, again, this big blue blob is the reflectivity that we're seeing from Doppler radar transported back to us that is showing there could be some hailstones within the clouds. And it does kind of, from its algorithm, it'll figure out how big and how large some of the hail size will be. And this, again, it says 1.3. It might be on the higher side, but anyone watching from Austin, please, again, send us any information if it's from my Facebook page or an email or George's or the KIMT Facebook page as well. Let's take a look at Austin's live eye before I get things to George, and it does look like things are, usually that's a view that you can see several miles out in the distance. So if you're in Austin right now, and if you're in any of these warning spots, we need to make sure you are in a sturdy shelter. We are doing breaking weather coverage right now. And the reason we are staying on is because there are several severe thunderstorm warnings right now, and it's impacting a large TV audience right now, and we want to make sure everyone is safe right now. And George Macaday has an update on what's going on for some outages and whatever else you have.
Indeed, Chris, we are tracking some significant power outages in our viewing area, and that's one of the reasons I've been on Facebook Live to kind of give you another option if you've got a phone that's working. Let's take a look at this map from Freeborn and Mower Cooperative Services. In Freeborn and Mower counties, the utility company reporting, in fact, nearly 2,400 customers without power as we speak. And we want to see what's happening in your neighborhood right now. So if you've got a way to send us a picture, and to do so safely, send us your weather pictures, your videos. You can send them to our Facebook page. You can send them to Chris's Facebook page. Our email is news@kimt.com, all of those things. And I apologize if I'm not responding quickly to some of the questions that you're putting on during our Facebook Live. And I'm not going to address complaints about the fact that we're on television right now. As Chris has pointed out, this is severe weather. Our duty as reporters and meteorologists is to keep you up to date on what's happening because, again, this stuff, we're not messing around. All we have to do is go out to Sean Macaday, and you can see that this is not something to be trifled with. This is severe weather. On that note, Chris, I will send it back to you over there in front of the maps.
Perfect timing because we have brand new severe thunderstorm warnings issued for parts of Hancock County and Cerro Gordo County. Now, this does include places like Forest City, Britt, Garner, Mason City, Clear Lake, Ventura, a number of spots here. So let me talk about that one, and then we'll go over some of these severe thunderstorm warnings that are out there. This looks like it's going to run until 8 o'clock, so we have another 43 minutes approximately. Brand new from the National Weather Service from Des Moines at 7:12, National Weather Service confirming the outflow from severe thunderstorms just because of all the heat and the cold air that's being pulled down from the upper levels of the atmosphere will produce some of these, again, outflow boundaries, and we'll probably be able to see that from radar, and I'll look at that coming up too. This is going to run until 8 o'clock. Main threats with this right now, if we could take that super down for just a second, guys, of this severe thunderstorm right now. Again, this is for Winnebago, Worth, Cerro Gordo, and Hancock. This is just for wind right now. This is not for any type of tornadic rotation or any type of hail. This is just due to the outflow boundaries that are setting up from all these different thunderstorm clusters that are moving through right along the I-90 corridor. So that's the brand new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go over the one in Freeborn County, the southern tier. That's going to run for another 12 minutes. Does look like we had an update 2 minutes ago. Severe thunderstorm is located near Glenville, or 7 miles southeast of Albert Lee. This thing's cooking now at 45 miles an hour. So what, again, I was mentioning this probably about 10 minutes ago. These thunderstorms start to cluster up, and then they want to race to environments that are more unstable. And that's what these thunderstorms are doing, and they're going to cook quickly. Looks like we may have a tornado warning. And we do. Let's go to that quickly. This is going to be important, guys, so let's stay on this one for a second. Tornado warning. This is exactly where Sean is. Make sure we have Sean up. Severe tornado warning is going to run until 7:45, so the next 25 minutes. Here's the information I have, and then we'll get to Sean Macaday. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Rose Creek. So this is probably right where Sean is. Let's double box with what Sean looks like right now, guys. And make sure Sean is safe at this point because this tornado could be rain-wrapped. This is 10 miles east of Austin, moving at 35 miles an hour. Tornado is radar indicated currently, and it does look like ping-pong size hail. Let's zoom in before we get to Sean. We will get to Sean in just a second. I'm going to zoom in. It does look like it is this storm right in here. So I'm going to put on, it's that storm in this little polygon area. We'll get a track up too. I want to see where the rotation may be seen. And it does look like it's going to be potentially, it's just east of Rose Creek. So this is just north right now. I'm going to circle this. let's see if I can get this up. It's right in this area. That's where the possible rotation is going to be. So if we zoom in, this is going to be, if we're being specific, this is right along 670th Avenue and 200th Street. So this is 200th Street right here. This is 670th Avenue. That's running north and south. The rotation would be right in here. If we have a tornado, it's going to be right in here. And how we know that, this is storm relative velocity, and this will dissect a cell with green going one way and red going the other. And if these get nice and close together, this will be an indication, more or less, that there could be not only rotation, but potentially a funnel cloud and potentially even a tornado. Sean Macaday is on this storm right now. It's going to be tough to see. And Sean, what do you have for us with this brand new tornado warning?
Thanks, Chris. So the tornado warning is just south of me. It's literally just south of me, and I'm actually going to use my radar app to tell you how far away I am from the possible center. It looks about just 3 miles to my south, so it's pretty close. Right now, things are starting to calm down a little bit, and by calm, it's relative. Still, we have some hail right now. We're seeing some hail mixing with the rain. A lot of lightning, as you can see, and there's still that firm layer of water on the road in front of us. But let's take a look at the tornado on my app, and I'm going to actually take the camera off its little pedestal and use my radar app.
We're going to have the radar up.
Oh.
We have, and feel free to be able to use that, but I'll have the app up, or I'll have the radar up, and I'll have a storm track on behind you.
Yes. Yeah. So if you want to put me, if you're looking at the tornado warning, I am on I-90, and the tornado is just south of where I am, by about 3 miles. So I'm 3 miles north of that tornado. No eyes on it. It is rain wrapped, and you do want to be careful. You're not going to be able to see this tornado that is radar indicated, because there is just so much rain mixed in with the storm. I mean, me and Caleb can barely see football field's length in front of us. That's how thick this rain is.
And Sean, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, but I do want to get to the track right now. This is a pivotal part of where this tornado may be and locations that may be impacted here. So Bennington at 724. Again, if you are anywhere in Mower County, this is a tornado warning. And guys, if we have a red super, oh, you do have the tornado warning up. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. I want to make sure we're going to focus in on this storm with the tornado warning. If you are in Bennington, Leroy, Bloomfield, Spring Valley, and then all the way down, eventually, if this is going to be in parts of parts of Fillmore County, we want to make sure you are in your safe spot. So what does that mean? It means the center part of your house. The best part of a tornado warning to be, which location to be in, would be the basement. Basement under something sturdy. If you do not have a basement, the interior part of your house is great. Bathroom, closet. Try to at least put something over you or your family to take shelter at this point. There's the track. I want to specify here before we get back to Sean, and I'm hoping Sean stays on this storm. We want him to stay on this storm since, again, yes, it's rain wrapped. We want to make sure that we're careful, but this storm, it looks like it's going to be right in this area. So I'm going to go back to our sweeping radar, see if we can figure out, if there is a warning. I'm going to take this off. Bear with me while I do this. I'm just trying to take off the severe thunderstorm warning so it doesn't look so chaotic. It's going to be right in this area. So this is traveling, it looks like, just north right now of Highway 56. Let's take off that tornado warning for just a second, guys, if you don't mind. So this is where the possible tornado could be. So if you are Adams, you're too close to call right now, so make sure you're in your safe spot. If there is a tornado, it's likely going to be 710th Avenue. This is traveling north and south. And then this could be anywhere from 107th, 108th, 109th, and then all the way down to 160th, and so on and so forth. So anything probably between Highway 56 for Minnesota and Highway 16, you're going to be in the path of this storm. So Clayton, Bennington, these are all spots. Lodi is another location that could potentially be in line with this tornado. So this is the track that we're looking at, and it does look like this is actually getting a little bit brighter. So we have to make sure that we are staying on this. I'm going to put a track on this to give everyone an idea of what this or where this is going. So this is going basically east-southeast. So these are the next spots that could be impacted. I only have 5 towns on here, but again, this is kind of a rural spot. Lodi at 725, Bennington at 733, Ostrander at 737, Bloomfield at 739, Etna at 743. So these are the 5 locations that potentially could be in line for the tornado warning. Here's the latest as well from the National Weather Service as of 7:18 at 7:25, so 7 minutes ago. The tornadic thunderstorm will remain over mainly rural areas in southeastern Mower County, including the following locations. They have County Roads 4 and 8, I-90 exit 187, and they mentioned other towns that I did as well. So again, if you are in this little area, and I mentioned this on my Facebook page, it's so important to know where you live on a map. If you don't have a county up, you got to know, if you look at a map, where you are for your county. Got to know your county as well. And I know this probably seems elementary, but this is something that we stress, all meteorologists do, as we come together for some of these conventions, that some people just don't know this. Got to know where your city is if your city is not on a map. But we have a number of small towns in this little area, in this tornado box. And I know it looks a little chaotic, but again, these are the communities that are going to be impacted. Lodi, again, you need to be in your safe spot. Bennington, if there's a tornado, it is bearing down on you. You need to be in your basement at this point. Ostrander at 737. Bloomfield, eventually, again, I'm giving you times when the possible tornado could be in, but if you are in this red box, you need to be in your safe spot at this point. And Etna, again, at 743. And if we get back to Sean Macaday, if we have a chance to do that, I do want to see what he is, where he's traveling, if he's trying to get down on this storm, if he's staying away from this rain-wrapped possible tornado. Let's get back to Sean if we can.
All right, thanks, Chris. So right now we just took exit off of I-90, and we are out of the rain, but our plan of action is to cut behind the tornado. I can see the rotation on my radar app. Cut behind the tornado through the rain and try and get on the other side of this around when you get closer towards the Iowa-Minnesota border. We're going to try and get there and then see if we can get a visual. Right now, again, you can see clear skies, but let me take the camera and move it just to the south, and you'll be able to see what I'm seeing. Is some heavy rainfall right about there.
And Sean, if there's a tornado, that's where it's going to be rain wrapped, and that's why you're in a perfect position. You can actually see. That is an amazing shot. Nice job getting into that spot. If that storm is producing a tornado, it is no doubt in my mind, and you'll say the same thing, it is rain wrapped, and this is it's a
right
dangerous
there,
storm.
Yeah. If there's a tornado, it's in there. So just Caleb, we're coming up on a dirt road, so we're gonna. You know what, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going straight on the dirt road for now. We're safe from the tornado, and I want to make sure that we're safe.
Okay, perfect. And I think,
so
Sean,
keep going straight, Caleb. We have a dirt road right here.
I think, Sean, as well, what you're seeing, if anything, if there isn't a tornado there, there's going to be obviously an outflow there, and there's going to be maybe some damaging winds that'll be involved in there as well. But again, this is a tornado warning. It looks like it. Let's see if it's still up. May not still be up. Oop, I got to put that back on. Yep, it's still up. It runs until 7:45 for parts of Mower County. This does include communities like Adams, and I'm going to zoom in to make sure everyone sees, and we'll put a track on this as well. Adams, still stay in your basement, but I think this storm is passing just northeast. Lodi and Clayton, it's right there, so we need to make sure you are in your safe spot as well. We're going to put a little longer track on this, and right now the rotation, and the brightest rotation is happening right in here, and it is pushing east. And yes, it is going through some communities, but thankfully it's not going through a large populated area. So I'm going to take this, and we'll push this for a track. And again, here is where this possibly could go for the tornado warning. Again, the tornado warning is running until 7:45. This is going to run, again, Leroy, you're just north of it. But I mean, you are so close that I still need you in your safe spot. If you're anywhere in Mower County, you need to make sure you're in your basement. If you don't have a basement, you're in the center part of your house. A tornado warning means either Doppler radar indicated tornado or a trained storm spotter has seen this tornado. But this is a situation where we just saw that view. Let's double box too with that view if we can. That view is showing a rain-wrapped possible tornado, and that's the last thing we want to do right now is have you going outside and looking at this. We're your eyes, we're your ears. We're keeping an eye on this for you, and obviously Sean is a trained meteorologist, so he knows where to go for these tornadoes. We don't want people outside, but got to go the other way. That's the rain-wrapped tornado if it is there, and these are the communities that could be impacted. Of course, I mentioned Leroy. Ostrander, you're right there. If there's a tornado, it's right on your doorstep, so please make sure you're in your basement. Bloomfield, Spring Valley, all spots in the next 10 minutes that could be near that tornado as this presses east at about 35 miles an hour. York, Wyckoff, Bristol, Florenceville, all next before the 8 o'clock hour as this storm continues to track, and it probably will be moving quickly at about 35 and even maybe as strong as 40 or as fast as 40 miles an hour. So that is right now the latest there. And Sean, are you seeing anything differently right now from this tornado warning?
Chris, I'm not seeing anything different. I'm still seeing the rain that you can see. So that's the downdraft section of the storm where the rain is really coming down. On the right, there's the rain. On the left, that's the fueling area. That's the updraft region of the storm. That's why the clouds are lower there to the left of where that rain is. So the air is going up there. It's coming down there. And maybe on the other side or somewhere in that rain, there is a tornado. I do think if there is, it's pretty much directly south of us. I don't see any rotation in this storm, but it's quite the sight, Chris, I do have to say. And keep in mind, these rain rates are no joke. There's hail and rain mixed in with this. So even if there's not a tornado, there is definitely going to be some damage. Because the winds are there, the hail is there.
So Sean, you know this because you were working when we had a couple of funnel clouds. I think this was 2 Sundays ago. And I was down in that spot in Lyle and Adams and Leroy. And I call that the chaser's dream because there's a lot of west and east and north and south roads. There's not a lot of traffic and everything is flat. So you can get these great vantage points of looking. And it becomes more hilly as you get closer to the Mississippi River. But your view right now, the picture in the video just doesn't even do it justice because I can remember taking pictures when I was outside looking at some of these thunderstorms a couple weeks ago and I'm like, that's what the picture looks like. So yeah, talk a little bit more about, where I know where you're at right now, but if you're seeing anything differently, the atmospheric conditions at the surface, if it's windy right now, it doesn't look real windy currently as you're entering closer to the storm. Sometimes you can get some crazy wind gusts near where this thunderstorm is developing or where the tornado warned storm is.
Yeah, so right, it was calm just a second ago, although as you can see, the rain is starting to really pick up again. We're heading south now. Our plan, if I can say my plan really quick, and then I'll talk about the conditions. Our plan is to intercept behind the tornado. I can see whereabouts the tornado could be on the radar, and I do believe it's, when we're heading south, it's going to be behind us. I feel confident in that. So we're keeping us safe. But the conditions just moments ago when things were clear, there was a little bit of wind, but it wasn't a whole lot of wind yet. Things are clear really underneath. We were in the updraft region, so right above us, air was going up and it's fueling the storm. But at the surface in front of that, there's a gust front that passes and then things are kind of still. They're cooler though, as all the warm air is being taken up and cold air from the cloud tops is replaced at the surface. We're starting to get a little bit of hail now and there's definitely some lightning, so conditions are worsening. We're also on a dirt road, so I'm going to try and get us on a not dirt road as soon as I can. Winds are picking up. Winds are visible. We can't see pretty much anything anymore. It's all visibility is about maybe half a mile or a mile right now, and I'm sure it's about to get a little bit worse.
So Sean, what I'm seeing...
so Chris, going on...
Go ahead.
Go on. Okay. So back to what you were talking about, the conditions. Before that storm hits, it's just kind of this ominous feeling. The air cools. The clouds almost kind of look like this UFO, and they're just creeping up on you. And then the storm hits, and it all just comes at once. And then the storm passes. I've been on every side of this cell that we've been tracking since New Richland. And behind the storm, things are very.
We may have lost them, but again, if you're just popping on or channel surfing, we're doing live team coverage right now with meteorologist Sean Macaday. He's in Storm Tracker 3 right now, and he's on the tornado-warned storm. And we're trying to follow, there's so many different spots right now that potentially not only could be producing microbursts, which are isolated areas of incredibly strong winds, but there could also be a couple of spots as well that may be producing a tornado. So again, I'm going to pop on the tornado warning to make sure we have the right spots up right now. But it does look like there's more circulation. Can you guys take off the warning for just a second? I want to show this. It looks like there's another spot that's popping up just southwest of Leroy. So I want to make sure, again, that's getting close to the state line. I want to make sure everyone that is in Mower County right now, that just the way things are popping and changing rapidly, making sure that you're in your safe spot. This is, again, a tornado warning. And let's see if we have any new information. But 7:45, this is going to run for another 9 minutes of this tornado warning. And guys, if you can take that Austin cam and potentially try to push it southeast, I know it can move southeast, then we can at least look at the storm from afar and be able to just kind of get a dissection of what it may look like a couple miles away. So the tornado warning right here is taking place, and now it's pushing to the east. We'll see if this actually gets extended or gets pushed down south. I'm a little worried right now of another spot of possible rotation just outside of Leroy. So make sure if you're in Leroy, you are in a safe spot right now, which again could be a basement, a bathroom, a closet. The interior part of your house is always the best spot. Initially, this was the spot of rotation, and this is moving more north. We had another spot of some rotation. So there's a lot of spots, a lot of locations that are trying to almost recycle. So again, I'm hoping that these are not tornadoes or not spin-ups, because they're almost impossible to see when they're rain wrapped like this. Here's a live look outside at Austin. Are we looking east? It's tough to see. I don't think that's east. But anyways, that's the storm that we're looking at right now in Austin. George, do you have any questions on Facebook from anyone? Any updates? What do you got?
Well, a lot of people are just asking specifically about the track of the storm and what we're anticipating as it moves from west to east.
Okay. So I'll regroup there, and
Okay.
we've been focusing so much on the tornado warning, which is important. We have about 7 more minutes left of the tornado warning that is involving at least the southeastern tier right now of Mower County, but we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, these are involving places like Olmsted County, the southern tier right now, or the southern section of Dodge County, most of Mower County, actually all of it. I mean, Mower County's got 2 different severe thunderstorm warnings and a tornado warning in there. And this is pressing back into parts of North Iowa. The North Iowa section for these severe thunderstorm warnings, these are all happening because it's so stinking hot out. And then these thunderstorms are coming through and then creating mini cold fronts are pushing that cold air all the way down to the ground. And it's almost just shadowing out. And we can actually hear some thunder outside our station as well. This is for Mitchell County, and you can see other spots including Winnebago, Worth, Hancock, and Cerro Gordo counties. Let's put the radar on, and we will put a track on this for everyone, and that's the sweeping radar right now. Thunderstorm clusters really beginning to develop, and these are going to be some heavy rain producers, it looks like, in parts of Fillmore County. Looks like it's just rain right now, at least heavy stuff currently in parts of Olmsted County. Nothing really severe yet. There may be some winds that we see, but right now as well in most of North Iowa, this is just going to be, I don't want to say just because I don't want to let your guards down by any means, but these are going to be outflow winds that could be between 50 and 60 miles an hour. So there could be, if you have anything laying out outside, trampolines, garbage bins, any of your kids' lawn ornaments or yours, or anything with playing with your kids, that stuff might be blown to your neighbors, and maybe that's something that you want. I don't know, but these are the types of winds that we're going to be seeing, I think, at least until, I would say, 9 o'clock for most of the viewing area. It might last even longer here. So we'll put a track on this. I'm going to take the lightning down. We'll get back to meteorologist Sean Macaday. This storm looks like it's moving pretty quickly, and we'll set you all the way back here. So here's the current track. So this is taking you through several spots, and we have Marion down, which is basically Rochester, and these thunderstorm clusters, again, I'm pushing it out just a bit. The heaviest stuff is going to be centralized back in here, but the outflow, I think, is going to be ahead of this storm, so that's why I think we're going to start to get some winds in Rochester very shortly. May have gotten some already in Casson and Byron and Mancherville. You may get some as well, and then all the way into parts of North Iowa. We even have Decorah down, Charles City in the next hour or so. This actually may get extended even farther south into parts of Floyd County and into Howard County as well. So that's the latest on the severe thunderstorm warnings. Back to the tornado warning. We have Sean Macaday, who is following this storm, and he's in the midst of trying to get a little bit closer as I try to zoom in on the storm. And let's get back to Sean. And Sean, let us know where you're at right now. If you can tell us what highway, so I can get this back on. But we have another about 4 minutes left of this tornado warning for the southeastern corner right now of Mower County.
Sure, Chris. So right now I'm about a mile or two south of Grand Meadow on County Road 8, and I'm east of Elkton. So I'm still in Mower County, and we're continuing to track this cell. I know you mentioned it earlier, but the radar signatures just south of me, it does look like there's a lot of microbursts, giant downdrafts and wind gusts. We're a little bit north of that, but we're trying to get closer to that area where there might be even some rotation. But we're about to turn onto County Road 8 in Mower County. Seeing a lot of rain. The rain has not let up. The occasional hailstone here or there, and visibility is not fantastic, about half a mile. And I need to actually take a look at the maps because we're about to turn on to County Road 8. I need to make sure to tell you.
You're on County, all right.
Next big street.
So something Sean is mentioning is something called microburst. So this is something the National Weather Service mentioned. This is something that I think I mentioned during some of our forecasting too, from 4 to 6:30. We knew there was going to be a chance for these little isolated spots that could produce tremendous wind, and we're going to probably see these peppered all over the place. These little isolated spots that may produce 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. We're probably going to get reports of trees down here and there. There may be power outages, which we may talk to George coming up in just a second, but I'll zoom out, and this probably means nothing to you showing all these different colors, but the brighter the colors, the stronger some of these winds may be taking place, and you can see some of these red lines. You can see them in here, some of these brighter reds, and especially right in here where the red and green come together closely. There's one back here, and there's one back here. There may not only be some rotation, but there could even be some tornadoes, or a tornado, or some of these microbursts, these very fast, strong, damaging winds. But when these reds and these greens get close together, that's where we get more concerned. It looks like that radar sweep kind of punched it out, but there's still some green, there's still some red, and this is just east, it looks like, of Leroy, and just west right now of Lime Springs. And I know the tornado warning is not, at least 2 more minutes left of it. There is not an extension on it, but I'm going to move this so you can actually see that. You can see Lime Springs right here. This is going to be a spot that I would say that there could be some rotation here, and even possibly maybe a tornado. So this is just west of Lime Springs. So I have to make sure you folks in Lime Springs, you guys are in your safe spot right now, and that means a basement, and that means also, if you don't have a basement, you need to get into the interior part of your house, protecting you and protecting your family. Again, warning is different than a watch. A warning means conditions not only are favorable, but that means it's imminent. It's happening right now. It was detected by radar. It was detected by a trained storm spotter. So again, as we're watching this, this is becoming more and more obvious to me that there may be an extension here, or at least there's some rotation being embedded here. We have another minute or so. We'll see what the National Weather Service does. And at the bare minimum, this may be producing some damaging winds. So let's get back to Sean, see where he's at right now, if we do have him. Otherwise, let's bring up a live eye, and let's see if we can get any vantage points either in Rochester or Austin as we track these storms right now for everyone. So that's Sean. We have him back up. Okay, and Sean, give us a lowdown of what you're seeing right now.
Chris, the visibility is improving. So right now we're starting to get ahead of the rainfall. We said we were going to puncture through the rain, and we have kind of done that. It's still raining, but you can actually see some clearing. Road 8, Grand Meadow.
So we're losing Sean here, and we'll get back to
all
him.
the kind of wind. They lost me.
Do we want to stay with Sean? Let's keep, yeah, let's. Okay, Sean, go ahead and tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so I don't know what you heard before, but there is some clearing. We punctured through the rain. Right now we're on County Road 8 heading south on Grand Meadow towards Leroy. We're going to stay on this cell. There's a lot of weird wind radar signatures just to our south, and that's kind of where we're headed. We do need to fill up on gas. We are starting to run low on gas, so we're planning to do that, try and do that real quickly in Leroy as fast as possible. But aside from that, things are out in front of the storm at least, and things are, again, conditions are improving, but just in a couple of moments, if we weren't moving, the conditions would rapidly worsen again. There is still some hail embedded within this storm. But again, we're heading south towards the weird winds radar signatures that we're seeing just to our south. And to give you an idea, Roy, let me actually draw that out on my radar app and see. I'm about 8 miles, Leroy. A bit of ways to go. But that's about where we're seeing those weird radar wind signatures, about 7 miles at least. So we still have some ways to go, but for the time we're taking it slow because there's still these occasional kind of bursts of rain and wind. It's a very, very messy storm. It's a very, very powerful as it continues to move.
All right, Thron, thank you for that update. We'll get back to Sean. He's going to probably get some gas too, since he's been traveling all over. He went all the way to New Richland, where they had reports in parts of Waseca County, Faribault County, Steele County, and then eventually moved into Freeborn County. There was some hail that got as big as baseball and softball, and I mean, we'll probably have some ridiculous pictures at some point. I do want to show you the track right now of where the strongest and most severe part of this storm is moving in. Chester is at 749, so you can see again, this is moving pretty quickly. We already have some thunderstorms going on. We're going to take you through a bunch of different live eyes after this as well. Rochester happening right now, at least the parts of the outflow, starting to see it about 754. Chatfield at 758, and then Iota, Dover, Cresco, all could be taking place between 8 and 8:15. And then eventually it looks like Vernon Springs. Let's take a live look outside in the Med City right now. We have two views. We can look at the sign cam. We can look at, there's our sign cam view right now. And this is outside our station looking northeast. Things are probably going to be, I think, looking a little more ominous as those clouds start to move in. I'm just going to look outside. Looks like there's some lightning going on right now. Here's a view right now from our RPU, or our downtown view of Rochester. Maybe producing some rain, but again, nothing in terms of strong winds yet. We have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings still issued from the National Weather Service, but a few have been allowed to expire. Let's go to Mason City next if we can do that. And we can double box this, guys, too, if you don't mind. That's Mason City. So we do have the severe thunderstorm warning for Mason City and Forest City and Northwood and Buffalo Center and Britt and Garner and Clear Lake and Ventura. Yeah, bring us Charles City. Those spots that we no longer have a warning for. We do have new severe thunderstorm warnings up. After the Charles City live eye, there's Charles City right now, and it looks like it is still 90 in Charles City and 92 in Mason City. So that gust front, or that outflow, didn't really do much and really cool down our temperatures. In Rochester, you can see our bug. It's at 74 degrees right now. So brand new severe thunderstorm warning issued from the National Weather Service. So now we have a few more lighting up the sky. So let's look at this one. This one's going to run until 8:45. It looks like it does include at least a portion right now of the Rochester area. I'll put that down. So this is as of 7:47. Severe thunderstorm is located near Grand Meadow. And that storm looks like it's moving east at 35 miles an hour and 20 miles west of Preston. So folks in Fillmore County, you got to make sure, and in Olmsted County, you got to make sure you are at least in a sturdy shelter at this point, because these storms do have history right now producing winds that are about 60 miles an hour, much higher earlier. It looks like there's at least a slight weakening trend from this, and also quarter-size hail. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings issued, and looks like these are for at least a section right now of southeastern Dodge County. It's going to run for another 10 minutes. A section of Mower County and the southwestern parts of, right now, it looks like, of Olmsted County. That's for running until 8 o'clock. And then we also have the one for Mitchell County and the southern parts of Mower County. It's going to run until 8:15. And by the way, folks, we do have Sean Macaday. He is right in the thick of everything, and I'm going to zoom in, and we can double box to Sean. We'll get an update from Sean. Looks like they did not do anything, Sean, in terms of adding a severe thunderstorm warning, or at least they added a severe thunderstorm warning, but nothing for a tornado warning. And I believe he said Sean was heading to Leroy to get gas. Sean, can you give us an update before you get some gas?
Yeah, so right now, literally just turned on to Highway 56. The storm is behind us, but let me actually take the GoPro and see if I can give you a kind of out the window view. And I hope you can hear me. I'll try my best to talk very loud.
We can hear you.
Here's out the window. You can still see some rain way out in the distance that's falling, but you have to look behind me and see all that gray. That's all the rain that is still falling across the area. And what I'm noticing is that there's kind of rain in weird places. There's a rain shaft right there. There's another one right there. That indicates that maybe the organization is decreasing a little bit. And what that could tell is that there's probably, we said it earlier, but there's still a chance for some microbursts as the organization begins to decrease. The temperatures are cooling. The sun is starting to set. So the storm isn't going to be able to have the character it used to have, but it's still a very strong, severe storm. I'm not seeing any radar signatures right now for a rotation or a tornado, and I'm not seeing anything like that in the clouds. But we're just trying to get gas because we're running pretty low, and we don't want to get swallowed by this storm again. We have some good views of what's going on right now, and we like that.
All right, John, Caleb, thanks for your hard work out there. Continue to be safe. And we're going to take a look at storm relative velocity as well. George may have an update coming up in just a second, but this is the storm relative velocity. Sean was mentioning there's not a lot of rotation, and what this will do again is this will dissect into our storm and see if there's any powerful wind speeds or also if there's any rotation. And he's right along Highway 56. It looks like he's zooming west to Leroy, and you can see some of these brighter colors. This is near Lime Springs, and it looks like it's pushing a little bit farther east. These may just be some microbursts that Sean was mentioning, but also these could be just some strong winds overall, 50 to 60 miles an hour with some of these wind gusts. So wondering at this point if there's any power outages, if we have any information from viewers. Let's get over to Mr. George Macaday with the latest on that.
Well, let me just start off with, I'm getting some questions now. I'm doing a Facebook Live also. There are a lot of people, I should point out, who are without power and therefore watching our Facebook Live broadcast. And those people, we're going to take a look at these power outages right now. These are significant power outages that remain in the viewing area. This is a map specifically from the Freeborn-Mower County Cooperative Services, and in Freeborn and Mower counties, the utility company reporting 1,600 customers without power. That is an improvement because probably 45 minutes ago we were talking about 2,400 people, so they've had crews out getting the juice back on to those people. But in terms of questions, what I'm getting, a lot of people right now here in Rochester, specifically up in the northwest corner of town, Chris, they want to know what's happening up there because they're reporting some, I don't want to say severe, but thunderstorms nonetheless.
So let's put a track on that. We'll zoom in on the Med City as well to kind of talk about and specify what we could see with different types of elements and our technology tools that we have. But here's the latest on what we're seeing for the track. So we could start to already see some outflow, I think, from the western and northwestern parts of the city, but it does try to point us to about 8 o'clock in Rochester for some of these other bands and some heavier rain, perhaps some more lightning. I didn't walk outside, but I looked outside of our studio, and it's looking kind of gray and green and dark. So lightning, heavy downpours, there could be some hail, there could be some gusty winds as, again, this continues to track at about 35 to 45 miles an hour. Vernon Springs is next at about 8:05. Iota, Viola between, it looks like 8:10 and 8:20, and then eventually moving outside of our area. Now, we do have a couple of Rochester viewers that were asking about this, so let me zoom in and kind of go street level to give you an answer on this as we zoom in. You can see some of the red contours, so I'll explain this. a little bit more in depth here. So this is at least a look right now of a chunk of Olmsted County, but really mainly focusing on Rochester right now as you're looking more southwest. So Highway 14 runs west and east. We have Highway 52, Highway 63, and Highway I-90 runs south of us. Again, we have a lot of these city roads. The different colors, the brighter the colors, the yellow, the oranges, and the reds, are signs of heavier downpours, I think. Again, you're going to be looking at some of these rainfall rates that, let me click on this and see what we have. Some of the reds, about 1.5 inches per hour. So what that means is I clicked on this little red spot. If that red spot would stay over that location for about an hour, it could produce about 1.5 inches. So that's some heavy downpours, but you're not talking about torrential downpours by any means. Same thing toward Rockdale. That's a little more heavy. You're looking at, again, if we pinpoint that area, we keep it on top of you for over an hour, that's going to be close to about 2.5 inches of rainfall. Look at the lightning, though, as well. So the lightning, not as much. You got a couple of lightning strikes, and George and I can both hear some of the thunder that's going on. But these storms, at least closer to the Med City, not as severe as what we're looking at potentially that could be slamming through Stewartville, Spring Valley. It looks like Austin has already picked up some of that stuff. What I'm seeing just from a meteorological standpoint is we're starting to see a Boeing segment try to take place, but kind of what's hindering that is more outflow. So I'll explain this from a weather standpoint that I think all of us can understand this. So this is acting almost like a mini cold front. You can see this. This is acting like a cold front and pushing cold air ahead of that to try to push that warm air up. Cold air is more dense than warm air, and that's pushing all that warm air up. But what's happening is some of this cold air is getting way too far out in front and almost impeding this storm from really charging up. And there's some more rain showers and thunderstorms developing. But I would not be surprised. We can look at velocity as well. If you're near Spring Valley, if you're near, let's zoom in even further. I'm going to go further. Spring Valley probably already had the strongest part of these winds. But Bristol, Preston, Pilot Mound, I know Chatfield is in there. Chatfield, Fillmore, some of these spots, you're going to, Forestville, these are spots that are going to be hit by this Boeing segment that, again, it's not a well-defined Boeing segment that you'll see textbook traditionally that could produce 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. But what we see with an environment today is a lot of energy, and these will be more isolated microbursts that potentially, if you're at point A, there could be a lot of damage. And you could go to point B, which is 3/4 of a mile away, and there might not be anything. So these are the kind of microbursts that we see typically with a thunderstorm like this. So Sean, again, he's getting gas in Leroy. I don't think we're going to probably have him, but there's a look right now, at least of where he's at right now. It's probably, you folks that were under that tornado warning